Now we've got a working microphone. Okay. Welcome to another beautiful Sunday. This is week 8 of Battle at the Prep. The goal is to be 7 pounds below the original 254. For those of you who know math, that's 247. Good news is I'm much closer this week. Average weight for the week is 247.9. So 1 pound off, but that's a pound and a half of weight loss from last week. And for those who watched last week, I had a stagnant week. It was the same weight as the previous week. So progress. And I lost a pound and a half instead of 1 pound. So we should make up the gap in time for June 1st. Easy day. With any luck, I'll beat it. More on that later. Waist measurement 40.5 inches. That is a quarter inch less than last week. Little surprising. I'm assuming some of that is dehydration because I spent all of yesterday in the 80-degree weather, craziness, building a chicken coop. So definitely didn't get enough water. Feeling that today. But still in the same range. Nothing crazy is going on. Just laying brick. Um, Now, critical update. I am not going to be competing at Battle at the Bridge in Pennsylvania. So, Battle at the Bridge is Northeast Regionals. So, you go to regionals to get a good shot at get going to nationals. Well, my beautiful wife is blessing me with a baby boy in September. The same weekend, her due date is the same weekend as nationals. So, even if she's a week one way or the other, not going to make it to nationals out in Vegas. So, changing the competition, I'm not changing the goal. Still going to be 242 by June 1st or lower. But just going to figure out the competition thing. Um, there's some competitions in like Vermont and stuff, but there are different companies, not the right word, different program, whatever. One of them strongman, like I was doing strongman core. The other competitions are USS. So not ideal. Third option, I might just go do a powerlifting meet. My gym holds a couple throughout the year. Could be fun. Not really my jam, but it's something. Um, but I'd have to get really, really low because so I'm going for 105 kilogram. You know, prepping to get within striking distance. With the powerlifting, it's either 100 kilogram or 110 kilogram. So, eh, it's just far enough off that I'd have to make some kind of shift somewhere. I mean, maybe I just go to the 242 and do the 110 kilogram and just do what I got to do there. Yeah, I don't know. None of that's in stone yet. Um, so you'll see the description change. It's no longer Battle at the Bridge. I'm just 242 by June 1st. But yeah, um, that's basically it. Um, Questions for the week. So not related to weight loss, but a question I run into: do I need to bulk? Now, defining bulk is important here. A bulk, often called a dirty bulk, usually means eating 30% or more above maintenance calories so that you gain a lot of weight as quickly as possible with the idea that you're maximizing your muscle growth. You're gaining all the muscle you possibly can. The major downside, of course, is all the body fat you gain along with it. And it can create a lot of stress on the body. So you might actually be gaining muscle at a suboptimal rate. Oh, that's a fancy way of saying it's a terrible idea. For anyone who's not, you know, who's not seeing a doctor for being underweight, if it is not medically significant, you don't need to bulk. Don't get crazy. Honestly, 10% is more than enough of to tack on to your maintenance calories. Um, you're gonna gain probably half a pound to a pound a week, depending. Um, but that's probably a sweet spot, honestly. Um, I have seen 15% go well, but these people are training like animals. Um, the 30% that I've seen, that was basically strongmen trying to get into the open class. And because it doesn't matter how fat you are. But that's for a performance goal, not for a health goal. If you are trying to gain muscle for anything other than a performance goal, then patience is a virtue. Um, and it's frustrating to hear because it takes a long time. You're not going to see those results very quickly. Um, but you will see the weight on the bar go up, which is always nice. That's my favorite part. But that is kind of the nature of the beast. So gaining muscle generally requires a calorie surplus, high muscle tension. Um, that stimulation is what actually tells the body to grow muscle. It's not doing 100 reps with pink dumbbells, man. Muscle tension. You can't get muscle tension with ultralight weights. You can get muscle tension with very, very high weights, but if it's not for a long enough period, you don't get as much growth or any growth in some cases. If you're just doing max singles, yeah, that's ultra tension, but it's not for a long enough period. So finding that happy spot is generally between 6 and 30 repetitions, and you need to be able to achieve failure in that range. Doesn't mean you have to go to failure every time, just means it needs to be possible. Um, Now, muscle growth while losing weight. Yes, it's possible. That is something I specialize in. Um, but you have to be disciplined. It is very easy to get all wrapped up in one goal or the other and not stick to your foundation. So, perfect example. When I tried to do it my first time, I had a major calorie deficit, like 1,000 calories a day below maintenance. And I would train for 2 to 3 hours, 5 days a week. So what happened was I didn't have the nutrition required to build muscle mass or even to recover from the workouts I was doing. So it was just degrading. Um, so I lost a whole bunch of weight, but I made myself sick in the process. Like I actually got a flu like overtraining situation. Took me out for a couple weeks. I came back in a maintenance period, and then I actually saw some, pretty good growth um, over the couple months I took. So that was my, lesson learned. Don't be stupid. So if you're trying to grow muscle while losing weight, the key is to have a moderate calorie deficit. So 15% would be like the upper limit. 10%, again, probably a happy zone. And you need to train effectively, um, 4 to 5 days a week, hypertrophy focus. So 6 to 30 reps, like I said, high tension. Um, and you need all the protein, probably more than you're comfortable with eating. And that's why protein shakes exist. Don't live off shakes. I've done it. It's not comfortable. Um, but yeah, so it's really not complicated, just not easy. That is precisely why people will separate those two goals. I'm going to lose weight first. Once I get down to a healthy weight, now I'm going to gain muscle, and that becomes a cycle. And it works because if you do it right, when you're losing your weight, you're losing mostly body fat. And then when you're gaining weight, you're gaining mostly muscle mass. So the average works out in your favor. You don't have to do it that way. I find it's more efficient that way for most people because it's really hard to stay disciplined for long enough to see the results of gaining muscle while losing weight. Um, and all of this is from the lens of not taking exogenous hormone or anything like that. I am not currently on those things, so I don't have really a platform to speak on those things or how to maximize your effects while doing those things. I don't judge you at all for doing it. Strongman isn't tested, so I could. Right now, it's just not my goal. Eventually, I'll revisit that discussion. But anyway, I've been rambling for 10 minutes. You got the idea. I'm back on track after my stagnant week. It's amazing when you follow the program how well things turn out. Um, Next week, I got to check my calendar. It might not be live. It might wind up being, of course, the calendar doesn't want to work. When technology fails, go old school. Yeah. So a little bit in the air. The 27th may not be able to do this live. I might have to record it ahead of time and then just post it for you guys. It'll come out at the same time, but that is when my daughter is going on school vacation. We might be going away for the weekend, um, but we shall see. All right. Thank you guys. I don't have anything else. I will see you guys next week. Instead of Battle at the Bridge, this will now be called, weight loss for June 1st or something to that effect. I will figure out something that sounds better than weight loss. Send me your questions. I love getting your questions, you guys. It really does help with, understanding what you need out of these live sessions. So keep sending over to me. You can comment. You can message on any of my social media, and then I will try to include it in this description. So you can send me an email at my business email, hebertfamilywellness@gmail.com. I'll put that in the description or I'll do a comment. But looking forward to talking to you guys again. Be well and be strong.